Welcome into the Broncos Breakdown by Chat Sports, a little mailbag edition for you, which airs every single Tuesday on our live show between 4 p.m. Central and 3 p.m. Mountain Time. And if you could do me a huge favor before we start getting into our Broncos-related questions, it helps us a lot put more Broncos content on your YouTube timeline. So do me a favor. Hit this little emoji right here, the thumbs up, and like that video. It's free, and it helps the channel grow. Let's get into our first one from Mr. D-O-double-G himself, Snoop Dogg. It says, assuming the Broncos make a trade during the season, who might we see shipped off? That's a great question. I would say, right now, a trade candidate that we could look at, Ja'Quan McMillian. And I say that not because I want to trade Ja'Quan McMillian, but the truth is after you drafted Ja'Quan McMillian, who's primarily a nickel corner, that slot corner, Ja'Quan McMillian, his job is in jeopardy. Now, you could make the argument and say, well, we keep him around for depth if Ja'Quan is that good or as good as advertised. But the truth is that there are a lot of teams, and I made a video on it, that are already very interested in trading for Ja'Quan McMillian. The Cowboys and the Panthers are the first two that come to mind. There's a couple other ones that aren't nearly as serious, but those two NFL teams, like straight out of the gate, are very, very interested in vying for his services. So if we find that Ja'Quan is as good as we think he's going to be, you could very well see the Broncos end up trading Ja'Quan McMillian simply because they found his replacement. I hope that helps, Snoop Dogg, and I love your music, by the way. Thanks for asking the question. Lambo, awesome name. Who is your favorite Broncos tight end all time? Mine's also Julius Thomas. I say that because, watching that connection that he had with Peyton was just like, it was beautiful, wasn't it? I mean, if you think about it, like going back to those days when Peyton was the quarterback, it was just like watching poetry in motion. That offense, that team in general was just loaded. I mean, all the Peyton years with, the end where he wasn't very good and it was the defense that led versus the very early on years with Wes Welker. You gotta love all of the weapons that they had, and of course, Demaryius Thomas as well. There were just a lot of really fun football players to watch during those Peyton Manning years, but Julius Thomas as well would be mine for sure. Thanks, Landbo, for asking the question. I appreciate it. Breakout player candidates this year. I'm going to make a video on this, so I'm not going to dive too deep into everything, but I will give you my 3 players that I believe have the ability to break out. The first one being Drew Sanders. And I don't think we've gotten a clear picture at all of what he could possibly be. It's tough to say because of all the injuries, but he's definitely one. I do think that, I don't want to say RJ Harvey because he's a rookie, so how can you really be a breakout? You know what I mean? If you haven't played anything. I think Audric Estime could take the next step for sure. And I'll give you a chalk pick too, Bo Nix. It's not really a breakout because he did show at the very end of the year that he was really good. But I think you're going to see Nix be a dark horse candidate for MVP. So watch out for those 3 players to be making some serious headlines in 2025. Michael, who's the first contract extension going to? I just answered this on our last little segment that we did, but I will tell you this. It's going to be Courtland Sutton. The most important thing that you have to keep in mind during 2025 NFL football is it's a quarterback-driven league. So the first player that's always going to get paid is the quarterback. Well, the next one is going to be a player that is a weapon of that quarterback. So Courtland Sutton is going to be the next one that gets paid. After that, it's the guys that can get after opposing quarterbacks. Do you see where I'm going with this? So then I think it becomes Nick Bonito and then John Franklin Myers. But to answer your question straight up, the first one, it's going to go to Courtland Sutton for sure. SJE, can Audric Estime hold off RJ Harvey from goal line rolls? Yes and no. Listen, Sean Payton's play calling is so diverse and so creative. I don't think you're going to see one particular package when they get into the goal line formation. Sure, is he a bigger, more bruising back? Yes, of course he is. But that's not to say that on the 6-yard line you can't run a shotgun formation with RJ Harvey. It all depends on where exactly you're at, what yard marker you're on, and what your play design look like and what the defense is showing you in their defensive package. If the defense is showing, 7 men or 8 men in the box, well, you're probably not going to want to run a shotgun formation. You're probably going to want to put a bunch of hog mollies on the front line and just push your way forward and play bully ball. But at the same time, if they're playing back a little bit, then maybe you go with a shotgun formation. Anything is possible in Sean Payton's offense, which is one of the reasons I love him as not only a head coach, but as a play caller. So SJE, I really appreciate you asking your question. Thank you so much for getting on the show. Before we get into more Broncos questions, today is the last day that you can get in on the Broncos hoodie. It's 40% off. Go to chatsports.com/Broncos hoodie right now and start shopping with Fanatics today. I've gotten a ton of gear from Fanatics, and you should too. So everything that you need heading into the 2025 Broncos season, make sure you do with this link that I've put in the comments and description of today's video. Rusty, how are the Broncos defensive backs looking? Terrifying. And in a good way. I don't mean terrifying like, oh boy, we got a lot, it's going to go wrong. No. Terrifying for opposing offenses. This is a no-fly zone through and through. Just say this out loud. Ja'Quan Barron, Pat Surtain, Riley Moss, Ja'Quan McMillian. Those 4 guys might be the best cornerback room in the NFL. It's arguable, of course. Anybody can make an argument. But it is really, really scary. And I'm really looking forward to it as well. Yeah, I know I didn't mention Brandon Jones in that, but I'm not Talanoa Hufanga as well. So the safeties you have to throw in there as well. I'm just strictly mentioning the cornerbacks right now. But the defensive backfield is looking terrifying. So adding in the players that, like I just mentioned, it's a very, very scary looking defensive backfield. I can't wait to watch it. Danny, fan favorite of the show. The fake preseason QB battle last year. We all knew Nix was going to be the quarterback one. Yep, absolutely. Hindered Nix's in the first 3 weeks of last season. I'm struggling to read. Does Denver do that? Oh, okay. I see. I'm getting there now. Does Denver do that again with the running back situation? No. And I'll tell you why. Quarterback is a different position entirely. Obviously, that goes without saying. But the quarterback is the one that's always touching the ball. Every single play. He's handing the ball off. He's dropping back to pass. So the quarterback has himself to rely on. Running backs rely on the offensive line. They rely on their signal caller. They rely on, different motions and different techniques and different play packages. It's a completely different position. So I don't think that mixing the 3 of them between Estime, McLaughlin, and Harvey is necessarily a negative thing for Harvey. I think that could actually be good because you never know what you're going to get. If you bring in Harvey, are you going to throw is he going to be a dump-off play, or is he going to take the ball to the house? Is he going to try to run north to south? Is he going to go outside east to west? Are you going to bring in Estime? There's so many different looks that you can have with all 3 of these guys. So to answer your question, I feel like because it's a different position, it doesn't necessarily hinder Harvey's ability to be great. Thanks for asking the question, Danny. Mark, what do you think of the Broncos linebacker depth? It's funny, I just made a video on this today at the time of this recording, which is Tuesday, about signing Kaiser White. And I made a video a couple of weeks ago about signing CJ Mosley. The thing that scares me the most about the Broncos linebacker room is not the talent that they've got. It's very, very good. It's the injuries. 3 major injuries of note. Dre Greenlaw has had multiple injuries coming off of a strained quad. Alex Singleton with a torn ACL, and Drew Sanders with a torn Achilles. So I feel like, personally, the Broncos should go out and sign a free agent just as a rotational piece to at least add a little bit of insurance for that Broncos linebacker room. Now, again, that's just me, and if everybody disagrees with me and says we've got enough talent, we're just going to roll out and roll the dice, then so be it, that's fine. But I feel like depth helps you win championships. And the last thing you want is to go out in 2025 with such a great defense and rely on 3 players solely who have had major injury concerns. Because the law of averages will tell you one of those 3 players is going to go down. I know we have Justin Stranad as well, but the truth is I would feel a lot more comfortable going out and getting a guy like Kaiser White or CJ Mosley. But Mark, thank you so much for asking your question. Chase, is Bo Nix going to throw... Sorry, I am sweating like the dickens. Had to wipe that. I was getting sweat in my eyes. Is Bo Nix going to throw over or under 30 touchdowns? Over! Come on now. Have some faith, brother. 33 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, just a hair over 4,000 yards was my official prognostication for Bo Nix. I don't think the sophomore slump affects him, not with Sean Payton's play calling. And Bo Nix showed us last year that he has the ability to play on script and off script, which is a great aspect of any young quarterback's arsenal, the ability to do both of those things. He was really, really quick with his release, which is, again, something that I feel like younger players don't necessarily always have. They want to extend plays. Bo realizes my best ability is to be able to get the ball out quick to my playmakers to avoid the sack. So thank you, Chase, for asking your questions. Absolutely over 30 touchdowns. Jackson, how many interceptions do you think our secondary can get? Like as a total or like an individual player? I'll answer your question the way I want to answer this question because it's tough to gauge that with injuries and stuff like that. I will tell you this. I feel like between Barron and Surtain, I feel like there's 6 interceptions between the two of them. I feel like 6 interceptions feels like a good number, maybe slightly higher than that. But if you figure like that's 3 apiece, but I also feel like Surtain will have 4, and Barron will have about 2. So just between those two, I say 6. But again, I like to look at interceptions more as an individual statistic rather than a team statistic as a whole. That's going to do it for us on today's episode of the Broncos Breakdown by Chat Sports. Remember to like the video. It helps us grow. Subscribe to the channel if you already haven't, and make sure you send this to a Broncos fan in your life. My name is Moose. Until next time, be cool.